I'm kind of curious. You played in the late '80s and grew up in the '80s. What do you remember about Eddie Sutton's teams from afar?
No, I mean, just Coach Sutton, I think he meant so much to the whole coaching fraternity. Obviously, the success he had, but I think anybody, in my age group that was, coaching, looked up to how hard his teams play and the defensive identity that they always had. And then obviously, at the end of his career when he coached out at USF in San Francisco, having spent a lot of my life in California and in the Bay Area, I followed, his stint there, the short stint at USF closely as well.
Do you, being a kid growing up when he's coaching his Arkansas team, do you remember that? Were you aware of that?
Yeah, for sure, Jacob. I even, when I got hired here, talked about the impact growing up in, San Diego, but still understanding, and watching Arkansas play and the star power players that he had. So very familiar with again how hard his teams played and the level of talent that they had.
How appropriate is it that you guys are playing this year after him getting in the Hall of Fame and his passing last year? That you and OSU are
Yeah, I
playing?
mean, I think it's two programs that he had such a huge impact on, and obviously our practice court's named after him now, and I think it's I mean it's two good basketball teams playing each other, and to have Coach Sutton, you know, memory to be a part of the game, I think is really really appropriate. And I'm sure to the fan bases, both Oklahoma State and Arkansas, it'll mean a lot as well.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Jacob.
Didn't hear very, okay, sorry, I didn't hear very well. I didn't want to get pissed off Tom again. I'm always pissing him off. But Eric, what kind of season would you say Moses has had? And what's your take on Cade Cunningham? And obviously, there's been a lot of hype about this game because those guys were teammates.
Yeah, I mean Moses has done a great job for us all season long. I think even in last night's game, I mean he helped. Even though he was an off night for him, I thought he helped us. I mean, he's a decoy for us. He changes the geometry on the floor for us. I mean, it's almost like, when he wasn't scoring, he's like, almost like a quarterback that's running a screen play and not, or we're calling an audible at the end of a play just because he's such a focal point for us. But he opens up the game for everybody else. And he's had a great year. I mean, you look at his numbers across the board, both in conference and the entire season. He's had a great season. Obviously, Cade Cunningham, a special talent. His court vision, his strength, his size, his ability to shoot the three ball. He's got a post-up game. He's one of the great advanced passers in transition to getting the ball to people. And you're talking about two really special basketball players.
And which assistant had the scout for this? And I know you leave no stone unturned. Have you picked or will you pick Moses's brain and say, hey, what do you think about Cade, or maybe what's something we can do that'll work against him or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that we'll ask him, but hopefully the experience on our staff through film is just as valuable as somebody who's played with somebody. But certainly, even with our matchups, I mean, I've got down on the board right now that there's 3 different ways that we could match up, and I'm gonna talk to the team about, of the 3 scenarios, which one do they feel the most comfortable with. So I think that that's always part of your, open dialogue where players that have played against someone or played with somebody. Desi will speak up when we play against somebody that he's played against in the past and try to help the guys. I'm sure Moses will interject today because of how, how he knows Cade's game. And then I don't know your third part of the question, Bob, I think was who has the scout. Coach Mosier has the scout.
Okay. And then, you won this you won your Big 12 matchup last year against TCU. That was a big win at the time because I don't think Isaiah played, if I recall. But how big a deal is this for you guys? I mean, obviously you're playing for Arkansas and the state and all that, but number one, it'd be a huge win to get on the road for your NCAA tournament resume. And then just how big a deal to you is the SEC pride and kind of carrying the SEC banner over there against the Big 12 team?
Bob, if we were going to go play shirts and skins in a pickup game, it's 4th and 1 for me on everything. So if, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like there's no game that we're going to prepare differently, or we're preparing for this game just like we did the first, second, third game. Cause like I said, I mean, everything to me is a Super Bowl, so, I mean, I don't think we can, first of all, we have a much shorter prep time than Oklahoma State. They played on Monday. We played on Wednesday night. We obviously have travel there. We're there, they're home. So how we go about this prep in a short amount of time, knowing that the game's an afternoon game on Saturday, I mean, there's no doubt they're going to have fresher legs. I mean, it's all you got to do is look at the calendar. For a team to be off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and play an early game, and we played Wednesday night, we've got to try to figure out how to manage, because we do have some guys banged up, how to manage to keep them fresh, for Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I got a couple more. I'll turn it back to Mike. Thanks.
Nate?
Yeah, speaking of guys banged up, how is Tate with the tooth deal and Sills or anybody else that could have been banged up during the game yesterday?
Yeah, Nate, I think Desi will be fine. I would just walk by the training room. It looked like a MASH unit. We had a lot of guys in there. Jalen Tate was at the dentist when he and I were texting a little bit ago. So I don't have the full update other than he was in the dentist office or dentist chair when I called. And then, Justin Smith is not practicing today. And then we'll see how he feels Friday.
Also, I was unaware that Devo Davis had committed to Oklahoma State. Kind of how hard was he to swing in recruiting, and how do you feel he'll be emotionally for this game?
Yeah, I mean, we're recruiting Rondell Walker pretty hard too, and and he's there. So I don't, in my opinion, Devo, hopefully he'll approach this just like he did the last game, because I think he's had a great mental approach, and I think you just, go into every game trying to do your best, no matter who you play against or no matter who you're coaching against. Or, I mean, you just try to prepare yourself. I don't believe in, a guy gets traded in the NBA and then all of a sudden he's going to try harder that game. I mean, I think you should try hard every game.
Thank you.
Curtis?
Hey, Coach, obviously Cade's a great player, but they've still been playing pretty well without him for a few games. What do you think about his supporting cast there and just maybe your overall impressions on their team?
I really like their team. They got great length. Obviously, Cade at his size at the point guard. And then number 13, likely, I mean, you look, I mean, he was a point guard last year. Now he's playing, him and Cade play together. So 2 and 13 together. Great size. They're a competitive team. They're very well coached. I mean, I like their team. They're long, they're athletic, they pound the offensive glass. They get loose balls, they create, offense through their defense. Really unique matchup wise with 13 likely and Cade Cunningham, number 2. They're their 2 best passers. And they, like you look at 13, he leads the team in assists and rebounds. That just doesn't happen very often. And, defensively, you can never relax against those 2 guys. under any circumstance. They got good post-up players. Again, both guards, 13 and 2 can post up. 22 is a good post-up player, Boone. And then they have three-point shooters with Cade Cunningham and Williams, number 14, and number 5, Rondell Walker, can all make threes.
Scotty.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned last night that you and JD have had a lot of conversations and you sent him tape just about shot selection, decision making. How do you feel like he's taken that feedback? And has there been, a little bit of tough love trying to get him to play on that plane that you want him on?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's getting better, but still has room to grow in his shot selection. He's got to improve his shooting percentage for sure. But having said that, he puts a lot of pressure on the defense. When we're trying to space both vertically and horizontally from a spacing standpoint, he's important for us. But the one thing that we continually talk to him about is just like, quote unquote, how do you activate your teammates? Is an important part of his, evolving as a guard and a lead guard. And then kind of learning, your teammates' patterns on where they cut and maybe to anticipate on some of your passes as well.
Hutch.
Yeah, Coach, Moses, whenever he's had a few like off shooting nights and everything, he's usually bounced back and had 24, 25 points the next game. What's that say about him, especially considering he's a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, it's hard for Moses to have, consecutive bad games because he's a good player. I didn't think he played bad last night. I thought that, he got in foul trouble and, I thought their defense did a good job. I thought he did a good job of respecting the defense and not trying to force things. And, Oklahoma State's really good defensively. I mean, they're long and their guards block shots, which is unique. It's not often that you see the opposing team's guards as good shot blockers, but that is the case. But I think the big, just Moses just got to do what everybody else needs to do, which is continue to approach the game one game at a time. And when you have a good game, put it behind you. And if you have a game that you'd like to play a little bit better, put that behind you as well. Because again, you're getting 2 games a week and you got to have short memory.
Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, you spoke about Devontae Davis a little bit earlier. Kind of I think he was committed to Oklahoma State whenever you actually got hired. What do you remember about his recruitment as it pertains to Oklahoma State, and then ultimately getting him to stay home?
Yeah, I think, really, Marshall, like his committing to Oklahoma State or whatever, like I don't know. I was at Nevada. I wasn't. So I can't comment on that at all. When he opened his recruitment back up, we got on the phone and we started recruiting him. And, I think that at least, from my initial conversations with Devo, it seemed like he was really excited to become a Razorback player and that it was really important to him. And, when I went and saw him and actually, I didn't offer him a scholarship until I did it face to face. And, the excitement in his families, there was people that teared up and I could tell how powerful it was. It was an eye-opening experience for me to offer a scholarship to an in-state player and see family members actually come to tears. It was really powerful for me to see, for sure.
You mentioned you guys recruited Rondell pretty heavily. I think Oklahoma State also recruited Jalen pretty heavily for a time. Outside of the SEC, is this kind of a program that you maybe recruit against the most so far?
Yeah, I think. I just think geographically, that really, Marshall, geographically, we're gonna, probably recruit some guys that Oklahoma recruits, and probably some guys that Oklahoma State recruits, and maybe a few of the Texas schools, and then in our own conference, we seem to 3 or 4 of the programs programs, seem to be recruiting the same guys as well. So, yeah, I think that that's probably, a very true statement.
I appreciate it.
Rich.
Hey, Coach, Rich Hollenberg, ESPN. A lot of coaches always say when they take a job, I got to build a fence around my area. You obviously had a great recruiting class in state. Is there a common thread, or what can you tell me that I could relay to the viewing audience about what are some ties that bind players who come from Arkansas?
I think, Rich, just there's a unique state pride. The Razorbacks are the pro, whether it's Razorback baseball, whether it's Razorback football, Razorback basketball. I just think, Rich, it's really unique. The pride that, surrounding the state borders and it's well before I got here, and it'll be well after I'm here. As they're growing up, I mean, this is who they're rooting for. These are they're wearing Razorback t-shirts and Razorback hoodies to school. And, I just think it's unique in that way. And so I think that there's always going to be, intrigue. It doesn't mean that you're going to get everybody from the state. Certainly there's been great players that have left, and there'll probably be more that, it's just kind of what happens. But I do think that you at least get you get the opportunity to recruit everybody in state. And I think that's all any of us want, is just to have an opportunity to sit with the prospective student athlete and kind of give your vision of the player and your vision of your program.
Are there any commonalities playing wise, style wise, that you find between them?
I don't think so. Just the four guys that we have right now. If I just, like Moses Moody, I'd say great scorer. Devo Davis, I'd say incredible loose ball getter. Great rebounder for his position, great athlete. Jalen Williams, one of the most talkative on-court freshmen that I've ever been around with, a really physical guy. He can score at three different levels. And KK Robinson's got great speed. So I think each guy kind of brings something different. I don't think that, and I think Sidney Moncrief was different than Marvin Delp and different than Ron Brewer. I don't think there's any common, other than they take a lot of pride in the Razorbacks. I think that's one common. And I think that for the most part, really good toughness and good basketball IQ as well.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks, Rich.
Bob, final question.
Yeah, Eric, I was wondering if you've ever been to Gallagher, Iowa. It's obviously an historical place, and kind of and I know it won't obviously be the normal crowd. What are your thoughts about playing there? And have you ever played there before?
Never played there before, Bob.
Are you looking forward to it?
I've coached Madison Square Garden and Staples. I think I just kind of roll. To me, any of these buildings are, again, I think if you've had the opportunity to coach at the NBA level, as far as a building is a building. So I would love to give you guys something good to write about, but doesn't matter if I'm walking into that building or University of Oklahoma or TCU or it just gives us an opportunity to go compete. So I'd love to give you guys some great quote, but I'm not gonna say, yeah, it's really meaningful to go play this road game.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty.
All right, you guys.
Appreciate it.